What's up, everybody? We're gonna do something a little different. Not necessarily coming up with a name for it yet, but we're just gonna call it like Psych Talks for now. Until I come up with a better name for it, that's gonna be the name for it on YouTube. But I'm gonna put the episodes where I interview people for my podcast in video uploaded to YouTube here, and you'll still be able to find the audio version on Anchor, Spotify, blah 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 promotion. But we'll go ahead and get into it. And today we're back with Jacob. He's been on the podcast before. And the first thing we're going to talk about is what the fuck is 2020?
Hell world.
Yeah. Bro, we have two hurricanes literally doing the ring around the fucking Rosie right now. Like I can't even pronounce what they said the hurricanes are doing now that they've like hit each other. It's like the Tsuboyoshi effect or something like that.
Yeah, something.
But
it's based on like how typhoons interacted every once in a while. Yeah, it's just fucking great.
I don't even know if it's this year, bro, or if like all of a sudden everything's just hitting us more. We're just like, bro, why is everything happening during coronavirus? Like, I feel like if coronavirus wasn't a thing, we'd all just be like, meh, it's not in my area. But now we're just like, bro, there's more natural disasters. There was a fire tornado.
How could this happen?
There was a fire tornado in California.
Oh, like the Bible?
Literally, bro.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Made from high winds from the drought. There was literally a fucking fire tornado. It was so goddamn funny.
Isn't it great that we're at this level of 2020? We're like,
yes.
The more ridiculous the natural disasters are, the funnier it becomes. We're like, really? A fucking biblical fire tornado and square dancing hurricanes.
It's terrible. This is where we're at. I don't... I genuinely don't get it. Like, I don't know. I think at this point we all just either become desensitized to it or we just like see it happen and then get over it. We're just like, oh boy, it happened. Let's get back to the grind, everybody, because it's been happening.
It's been happening.
I think the COVID death toll is above. It's more than any American like casualties in any war, isn't it?
No, not yet. It's more than World War I, not World War II. World War II, we're still like a little more than a quarter from.
Okay.
Yeah, World War II was a bit of a bloodbath for us, relatively.
I think they said the Civil War was
Civil War.
Yeah, the Civil War was the bloodiest war for Americans.
Oh yeah, easy. Yeah. Like everyone that died was an American. Easy. Like.
Everyone that died was an American. Wow.
I mean, it depends on how you define it. We don't have to conclude the Confederates in a death count, I suppose.
Yeah.
For Americans that died. I don't know if you want to be counted. Maybe you shouldn't have seceded in the first place, dipshit.
Oh man, it's crazy, honestly. 2020 has really just been a crazy. I'm not even gonna keep saying crazy. It's like you start to accept what's going on, and then something worse goes on. Like we're 68 days from the election right now, and guess what's happening? Literally nothing. There's no debates. The Democratic the Democratic convention and the Republican convention were the Republican convention. You can't tell me that it's okay to have a 12-person panel and 6 of their last names are the fucking same. That's a little North Korea-ish, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just a little, and then I
didn't know that 6 of the 12 were all related to Trump. That's funny.
They're all fucking Trumps, bro. When Laura Trump spoke, her speech was just her gripping podium, eyes straight forward, no tone shift, no facial feature changes, describing her childhood stories and how she was empowered by America and her parents were small business owners, but nothing, no emotion. Like she was a goddamn robot, bro. And I'm not nitpicking this. Like anyone can watch her speech. Anyone can watch her speech. There's nothing. No eyebrow raised, no smirks.
That's weird.
It's super creepy.
You know how disconnected I've been from politics? Because, like, 2020 is just, like, throwing me through such a ringer that I honestly, like, I used to be really in touch and, like, paying attention, like, in great detail of what was going on, especially during, like, the primary. But, like, it's just gotten so ridiculous that I just don't care anymore, like, really. Like, I do. Like, I'm voting for people. I know I'm voting. But, like, it's just noise of, like, nothing's gonna get done, and I know that. And I'm just okay with that. I'm just at peace with this mediocrity.
Yep.
And I am waiting until I have another chance to vote, do what I want, pay attention when I think something can actually happen. Yep. You know? Pay enough attention that I'm not confused when shit's going down, but not so much that I'm in the minutia of it. Because the minutia just doesn't matter. It's just not going anywhere.
Yeah. In
my opinion. Like, if that's your hustle, like, if that's how you like to spend your free time, more power to you, you know, but I just can't do it anymore. It just feels like a waste of my time.
It's definitely hard to maintain the momentum train when you just see, like, okay, all these protests happen, they gave us symbolic bullshit, and then they shoot a guy in the back 7 times. And now it's just like, wow, bruh, thank God Uncle Ben's rice no longer has a black guy on it. That really stopped a lot. Good job. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi, for taking a knee. Thank you. That stopped so much. Yep. Change.
Changing Aunt Jemima. Everyone's like, no one asked for this.
Thanks for getting rid of that Golden Girls episode. Thanks. Why?
None of those are things that we wanted. No one cares about Golden Girls.
See, okay, it got said best. I think Kyle said it best that the easiest thing for them to do is just give you symbolic gestures, because it's just like, I gave you nothing, but I care. I'm letting you know that I care and I'm with you. What did that do?
It's the fucking care emoji on Facebook, but politics.
Politician,
I hate it.
Politician walks up, just looks at, oh, sorry, little guys. It's okay. We care. Thank you. Thank you for paying me. I'll make sure this gets taken care of. And then the road system you pay for pops a hole in your tire.
Although knowing 2020, it not only pops a hole in your tire, but then a spike falls on your car.
Bruh. Oh my God. I guess moving on into politics, we'll talk a little bit on what's going on, like we were talking about with Republicans and Democrats, such as you've seen me allude to previously on the show, Kamala Harris, the prosecutor.
Okay. I'd like to start talking about Kamala with predicating that I have nothing to comment about her really being, like, a woman. That's fine. I don't care. I don't really have anything against, like, to comment on her being black, except for some of the ironies of her being, like, a prosecutor and the things, you know? But, like, about the race thing, I don't care. In fact, even some people are, like, micromanaging the, like, well, she applied to this school as a Native American and that school is black. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. If that's your hustle, that's fine, Kamala. Like, really, genuinely don't care.
Didn't
that's
work for
small
Elizabeth
potatoes.
Warren.
Elizabeth Warren is just straight white, though. You see, that's like a cap, right? And she also isn't Native American. Like, Kamala genuinely is, you know? And if you want to leverage whatever identity that you do technically possess to, like, maximize your success in life, you know, fuck it, Kamala, I don't care. That was baby you. You didn't know it was going to be future you. You had control of present to future you, where you actually were able to make policy changes. And that's where I'm upset, right? Yep. So all those other things, like, there's also, like, a weird, like, left-wing contingency to, like, making fun of her weight for some reason. Very weird.
Who?
Like some male left-wing commentators, like Vosh, for example, have been doing that, and other people as well have been, like, making fun of her weight.
As in, like, her actual size?
Like, physical weight? Yeah, it's very weird. Like, I don't know. Like, I know, right? It's very weird. So I just want to, like, distance myself from those kinds of talking points which get brought up around Kamala, so I can, like, hopefully point out that I have some legitimate things to engage with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I want to start with Kamala. On that, oh my fucking god, fuck Kamala. She scares me so much. I mean, first of all, we all know, if you were paying attention to the primary, like, we all know that the DNC wanted Kamala more than anyone else, dude. They're like, oh my god, I love Kamala. Boss Bay. Black Boss Bay. Oh my god, Yas Queen. Please. Kamala Beyonce ticket. Like, that kind of energy going forth, right? And, like, everyone who's, like, knew about Kamala or could, like, Google her for, like, 30 seconds is like, this ain't it, Cap. This is not the icon, like, progressive icon that we want. She's like, healthcare for all. We're like, she don't mean that. We know she don't mean that.
She's not a proponent of Medicare for all.
When it becomes relevant to drop it, that's a potato getting dropped out of her bag.
Like, the moment they had to argue about it, she's just gonna be like, okay, we can drop Medicare for all. And they're just gonna be like, oh, okay.
Thanks, Kamala. Anyway, so we all know they were pushing for her, right?
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard walked up, was like, dun 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 dun. Bane!
Yeah,
just fucking broke her in the back.
Broke her campaign's back, bro. The messed up part is she, like, what? Yeah, it was Kamala was along with one of the people that accused Tulsi of being a Russian asset, and that actually hurt Tulsi's chances of getting elected.
Kind of. It wasn't just Kamala that did that.
I know, it was mainly Hillary.
Didn't, in fact,
mainly Hillary.
Hurt her. It did hurt her. Hillary was the biggest one.
Yeah.
But Kamala saying that Tulsi was a Assad apologist and a Russian agent actually hurt Kamala in the immediate. It really hurt both of them. But it was worth it because Tulsi Gabbard walking in knew she wasn't going to win, really. She just needed to beat some people up who needed it, right? And the only person who could really take down Kamala was another woman of color. Because nobody else could really touch her because the K-Hive, which is a thing, and it's awful as a phrase. I want to die.
What's K-Hive?
The K-Hive it's the people who like Kamala.
Like
that Bernie Bros? That's like her hashtag group, K-Hive. Wow. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It's fucking hilarious.
I've been off Twitter for a while, bro. I didn't even know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's like the Bernie Bros. It's the K-Hive. It's her version.
Bro, the Bernie Bros wasn't even a thing.
Not really. No, but the K-Hive would just attack anyone who was not a woman of color criticizing Kamala. And then if you were a woman of color criticizing Kamala, you'd be like, you're just defending white hegemony. They're like, yo, she arrests black people for smoking weed. Like, how's that white hegemony?
Bro, this is the trip about it. When she was on the Breakfast Club with, like, Charlamagne and Angela Yee, she even was like, yeah, I smoked a little weed back in high school. And I was just like, you deserve to be in jail, don't you, bitch? What's up? What's up, Kamala? So you just completely separated your public and your private position? Just completely split those apart?
Sick callback, yeah.
Like, at least, I feel like Obama kind of did that too. But his was just, he didn't. Did Obama directly have anything to do with, like, increasing marijuana legislation?
Yeah. States became legal under him. He didn't block them. Colorado and whatnot.
That's true. There were a lot more legal states under Obama. He could have legalized it day one, is apparently what I learned.
He could have.
Every president has the option to do that.
But he didn't want to.
Prison industrial complex. That's another thing about Kamala, bro. See,
using prisoners to fight fires?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might not be fair to directly say that's Kamala, but it was her office, which
she could have stopped it.
Obviously,
which means by not being like, this is a problem, we need to end this. She may not have been, quote, encouraging it, but she was enabling it.
Like, it's under her. She could stop it.
So it's her fault. If you could stop it, you have the power to just full out be like, nope. Then you're doing it. Like, ultimately.
I don't like prosecutors, man. Like, Killer Mike said that stuff best. He said, no, he's like, in his household, nobody votes for prosecutors. And it's just because, like, dude, a prosecutor's, it's like the ultimate job of, no offense to anybody that's a prosecutor, I hope you're a good person, But if you bring that whole public and private position shit into play, and then not only that, you let your nepotism and your own personal fucking, what's the word?
Bias?
Yeah, your personal bias. Like, you don't remain objective and just consider the facts. Like, I don't understand how you can live in, like Kamala, she lived in a legal area and was just like, yes, I support medicinal marijuana, but I'm still locking you up if you're just a random person. Like, when they do that, that is specifically so they can catch people that don't live in medicinal areas and just send them to fucking prison. That's literally it. That's not a punishment. Weed is a Schedule 1 drug. Still. Why?
No reason.
It's a Schedule 1 drug, and you can drive to Colorado and get a fucking bag of weed chips and a weed drink. You can go to restaurants that are smoking lounges that have weed infused tea.
Mm-hmm.
But no, lock up people for a gram. There's only one reason they would do that, people. There's only one reason. Well, there's probably several reasons that they would say.
There's several reasons.
But I'm going to say the one reason is just they want to lock up poor people.
Yeah. The disenfranchised poor people. If you take out the money earning supply of poor people, they have less ability to get out of poverty, which means that you guarantee their endemic poverty, which means you guarantee their endemic workforce.
Yep.
Like, they have to work very hard for no gain because they can never really get out of the situation that they're in.
Nope.
You know?
And that's it. That's how it goes. But let's not spend too much time talking about Kamala Harris and everything that's dislikable about her. You people can make your own decision.
Oh, one last point I want to make. Okay, so we all know that DNC was pushing for Kamala real hard, right? Tulsi would Batman, or Bane that little Batman, before she could get anywhere, right? All the election goes down. All the primary goes down. Looks like Bernie's about to win. Gets fucking Bloody Monday. Bloody Tuesday happens. Gets fucking wrecked by Joe Biden out of nowhere because everyone just absorbed into this one horrifying kaiju monster. Joe Biden's on his way out the door, right? And who does he pick for his VP except Kamala Harris? Like, are we not supposed to believe that Joe Biden gonna be president for 3 minutes before dying? And like, wow, thank you, democracy. Thank you. Good. I love it. This is great.
It's kind of like the Idiocracy movie.
Yeah, no, it's more and more so, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I got about Kamala.
We'll try. All right, we'll move on to something a little more positive, and that's like the content creation grind. Because recently, as you're viewing this now, you're viewing it on YouTube. So I've been making a lot more stuff for my YouTube content. I've also been making a lot more stuff for Fiverr, making things for even just social media. So you find yourself in this like loop of making things, and then people will tell you, oh, it's great, this is a great one, and you make another one, and they're just like, oh, this is great, this is another one, and I was like, I love this episode. But at what point do people just see you constantly doing it and just go, oh yeah, this is what you're supposed to do, good job, there's no reason to congratulate you anymore? Or what point do they look at you and see that you're releasing stuff and just be like, wow, bro, you're just always posting some shit, damn? Because that happens. Because, think about it like this. Are you going to root? Like, that's why most people like the underdog. They like the person that's like more relatable, or the person that has a better drive to it. They have a better chance to win. But that's like that's like, it's like you ever heard of the gambler's fallacy?
Yeah.
So
of course.
Okay, for everybody, the gambler's fallacy is, okay, let's say there's gambler 1, gambler 2. Gambler 1 is on a roll, so he's saying, all right, we're going to flip a coin. It's landed heads the past 3 times. So, of course it's going to land heads the 4th time. Gambler B has gone, all right, it hasn't landed tails in 3 times. Of course it's going to finally land on tails. They're both wrong, and the probability of the coin flipping is exactly the same. So, it's the same way. People put an expectation on it. People put an expectation on, it's like they put an expectation on success before success is done when it's premature. Because they're just like, oh, it's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be as good as the last one or better than the last one. You're supposed to do blank, blank, blank. And at one point, it stops being, oh, you're doing this new thing, and it becomes, oh, you're doing another one. But how, like, that's how I kind of feel about it, because I see it sometimes. I felt that way, definitely. I'm guilty of that when it comes to artists, like music artists, because if I look at a music artist, my main reason for not liking them is once you become a label artist, they kind of do tell you can't make your own music anymore, and you make what they allow you to. And I personally like that when I interact with an artist and share their music or like their music, and they see it on social media, that they show that they like it. Like, they'll share it. Mm-hmm. They'll say, like, bro, somebody's bumping my song. And they'll just be like, y'all know what it is. Somebody's bumping me. Like, to me, supporting that does feel better and more genuine. But that could be because of that. You could say because, I get my feel goods. I get my feel goods because the person that entertains me is interacting with me.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit of a notice me senpai complex.
Yeah, so there's a double-edged sword to it.
Yeah. That's a lot to unpack. My content creation is definitely a lot different than yours. It also hasn't come out yet at all. For everyone at home who hasn't heard me rant about this incessantly, I've been working for like 3 years now on a tabletop role-playing game that's in a general field similar to Dungeons and Dragons. And so for the most of 3 years, I've just been kind of like rolling into a wall and occasionally making progress, just like slowly grinding. Like, This is the most grind kind of grind you can ever imagine. Like, the book right now, the single core guidebook itself is like 200 and something pages. 250 pages, 275 pages, something in that range. And it'll get cut down quite a bit. Once it gets formatted, it'll look better, and it'll get cut down for what's going to be in the free release and the official release. Mm-hmm. Free release is just be like, it's formatted in a PDF so you can download it and read it for free so you can play the game, because I feel no reason to not let people play my fucking game. Because, like, hey, no, there's more to come. Give me money for that. Like, just play the game, bro.
It's kind of how I feel about making content too. It's just like, why would I start off being like, hey, yo, bro, support my Patreon? I'm just like, this isn't worth supporting yet. I'm still working. I'm still getting better.
Right.
Like, become a fan and like what I do before I toss money into my production.
Yeah, I agree, but that's like a very millennial perspective. I talk to anyone who's older than me, and they're like, no, charge for it off bat. Charge $100 for it. You're worth it. Treat yourself. I'm like,
I feel that. Okay, I feel that in some respects, but then there are other respects I don't feel it in. Like, let's say you, like, I respect artists, especially like people that draw. But if you look at my podcast art, it was done by a professional level artist, like that does corporation level drawings, and it was $80. The only thing I gave him was verbal communication. I was just like, I want it to be like a homage. That's the word.
Yeah.
An homage to my older brother who died in the military, but I wanted to be a JoJo reference. And I sent him my reference picture, which was me in my tan shirt with my beads on, with khakis on, and he showed him the hair. And he gave me exactly what I asked for. The first go around, professional level done. Mm-hmm. No issue, nothing. $80. It is $80 quality work, and
it's pretty cheap.
Exactly.
That's pretty cheap
for someone with his portfolio book. And I'm not gonna say like
reasonable.
I'm not gonna tell people like, oh my god, you don't get to charge anything. But I'll see somebody that's less skilled, not to knock them, less skilled, and their art style is more amateurish, and they'll charge me like $100, and I'm like, okay, it still doesn't look bad. But then when I get it, the first draft doesn't have what I told him to do. The second draft, I'm just like, hey, you forgot my beard, bro. And then he sends me the second draft, and he literally just like scribbled my fucking beard on, and I have to send that back, and I'm like, bro, can you draw my beard? So you can say that's up to the person, but I think it comes down to like people knowing how they produce their content and knowing what they can produce. It's it's one thing to instantly just be like, oh yeah, bro, any requests, $150 right off the bat. it's another thing, somebody to tell you, and then the artist goes, bro, I love JoJo's. This is gonna be fun, and then gets it done at a reasonable, like he could have charged me $100 for it.
But still been fine.
Still been fine. But at the quality of the work, because if you look at my YouTube, you obviously see it's the character I use to like speak in different videos, but it's very high quality. Like I don't know if I might put the original pic on here just to show. We'll see. But it's a really, really nice picture. And I plan on interviewing him, actually. I haven't gotten around to it because of all this COVID nonsense. But the name of the author is Marthius Wade, everybody. Okay, this is the level I can say this guy's talent is. He did a fan-made picture of the original Power Ranger, like Tommy. And he submitted it to a contest. And then the Power Ranger that is Tommy saw it, made an entire video of it with it, signed it, said it was some of the best artwork, and then literally captured who he was and said it was just like, you are an amazing artist. And I'm like, bro, and y'all out here charging me $120 for scribbles? This man has, like, if you want to call it celebrity recognition.
And it's because he's practiced enough. He's like, yeah, I can do that for $80 because he probably is really $80 worth of labor for him. What is it, like 2 hours?
Who even knows? Who knows how long it took him? But he didn't show that.
3 hours? It's still like pretty good money per hour, really. And it's
what I've learned is a lot of artists do it in like different layers as well. Like they'll make the first layer, then at another time they'll come back, do shadowing, then another time they'll come back, do color, then another time they'll come back and do like line work.
If you're working on multiple projects, that's often how illustrators will do it.
That's definitely what I do with videos. They'll have like
a day that's dedicated to one type of task,
and
they'll just flip through a bunch of them doing that one type of thing, and then they'll get a bunch of that done.
But yeah, everybody, Marthius Wade. You can also check out a comic he created called Shinobi Princess. It is very good. He is very talented. So look him up. He's on Facebook. I don't know his Instagram, but you look him up on Facebook or you look up his work, you'll find it. Marthius Wade. But slight shout out to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's exciting. That was pretty affordable, really. $80 for that. That's not bad at all. That's like below market rate actually for how effective it was. Just like, yep, it's done. It's like,
I use it because like I've even gone and looked at like popular novels of my childhood, like a Percy Jackson novel, and I'll look at how they animated the character on the cover when they do the like beautifully illustrated covers that you know the ones you can take off. Sure. Someone knows what I'm talking about. When they give you the special cover, like the picture has like engraved on it. It's the special edition books when they actually make the character look lifelike. And I went back and looked at it and I was like, my picture, this picture. I was like, bro, this could totally be like the picture of some type of novel. Yeah. It's literally what it looks like. It just looks like the picture of a novel. Like some sunrise over Fallujah, if you read the book type stuff. If you haven't read that book, it's a sad book about soldiers in Afghanistan.
I have not.
I got in trouble in high school because my teacher forced the class to read it. And because my brother had died in the military, I was obviously like, I'm going to read the book. And I went home and read it in a day. And when I came back to class, I had read it already and didn't want to read with the class, so I was reading my Halo books. And my teacher was like, since you've already read the material then, and you know it, why don't you take a quiz on it? And I took the quiz and made like a 90. And then she was just like, all right, you still have to read along with the class. And I'm like, why did you make me take the quiz then? And I refused to read along with the class, and she wrote me up for insubordination.
Education, bro. It's perfect.
I defied her, bro. That was the problem. I defied her.
Oh, yeah, that was the problem. It wasn't that you just, did what you're supposed to. It's that you did what you were supposed to in a way that was annoying.
You challenged my power, child.
Yeah. But imagine having that small of, like, an ego that, like, or that big of an ego, having that frail of a sense of self-worth that a fucking child challenges your authority by actually just having done the material.
Yep. And doesn't
instead
want
of being
to repeat
like,
the material.
okay, instead of being like, okay, and like I could see the merit of like, okay, well here's the quiz early then. If you've read the book, then you can take this quiz. You can also get it out of the way. Like that's a double down. Like if you do this, you'll be rewarded by not having to take the quiz later either.
Yeah.
But if you didn't read it and take this quiz, then you're kind of then read the book, idiot. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that's a fair check. Like I'm not against taking the quiz. It's like a reasonable like that makes sense. But like then be like, okay, man, you clearly read it. That's a 90. You can't get that on accident. Do whatever you want. You've clearly done this.
I did not get to read Master Chief's Adventures. I got wrote up and sent to the office.
Did the principal go like, go back to class?
No, the principal was just like, so you didn't do what she told you to do, and I was like, I'd already finished the book, and he was just like, it doesn't matter. You're supposed to follow your teacher's instructions. And I was just like, bruh. He was like, go to ISS, and ISS was in-school suspension.
Yeah.
Where I then proceeded to not get to attend my education throughout the day because I was in detention, and they just sent me like busy work, and I sat there and just read my book. Nice job, Mississippi education system. That's classic.
In-school suspension always seems to miraculously find a way to reward you for doing the thing that they were punishing you for, right? My brother, so we had like this external gym on the outside of the school, right? So there's the cool school and then the gym. I feel like that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
My brother, however, is a fucking crazy person. So my brother, back in 2007 or whatever, traveled to China and actually like went to Shaolin and Wudon and shit, right? Like practicing like kung fu and whatnot. And so my brother got real good at running on walls. Like I'm not kidding. Like the act of going like doop, 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 just running on walls.
Aight, bro.
Like, okay, weird setup, I know. And so my brother's like, runs up the wall of the gym, climbs to the top of it, right? Goes over, right? The two people he was like talking with, who are just these absolute dorks, try to do it. They have no idea what they're doing. They just both faceplant into this gym wall, right? Just like a cartoon. My mom is in the parking lot watching this, not doing anything. She's like, I wonder how this is gonna go down. My brother jumps off the gym onto the lower part and then onto the ground finally, right? Okay. Coach Dragoo, the basketball coach, walks up. He's like, yep, that's a suspension. Understandably. Like, he jumped off the gym. I don't know why that punishment is suspension, but, like, I understand the need to, like, feel like you need to punish that. Like, you can't have kids jumping off the gym.
He probably,
I get it.
Yeah, that was probably like, I gotta set an example with you.
Right. It was just very weird.
Maybe that, who knows? That could have been what the teachers, I can see that ideology too. Just, all right, bro, you're a little bit too above the curve. I gotta set an example with you.
Sure, right. So my brother got sent to a week of ISS, right? During this week of ISS, CSA is the school he went to, has a secret floor that's always locked, right? It's like, has a bunch of these like weird ass stored things from like decades and decades of shit. Just like random like student and faculty garbage, like nonsense stuff, like art pieces even.
Okay.
Like some cool and weird stuff is in there, right? But it's the fourth floor and it has like this window that you can just like walk out to, and it's just the ground, like 4 stories down. So my brother was chilling out with the janitor, right, for the week, doing whatever, right? He's like, hey,
chilling.
You want to go to the 4th floor? And so the janitor brought my brother up to the roof of the school. During in-school suspension for jumping off the gym roof.
Did he jump off the roof again?
No, that's too high.
Okay.
No, my brother knew he could do all that without hurting himself. That was the strategic point.
Okay.
There's no way to jump off 4 floors without, like...
Tuck and roll, bro. Tuck and roll.
Yeah, I mean, you can't... That's... Bro.
Don't jump off buildings, kids.
Don't jump off buildings, kids. You might get in-school suspension or die.
But all
or
right,
both.
we kind of went off on a tangent, but we'll move on to the next topic because we were talking about someone's ego who could be so small that they have to be challenged by a child. One thing we'll move on is that people with small egos, we're going to get into the whole alpha beta science, pseudoscience, and like the red pill theory. That's, I personally may have also, I ain't gonna say may have also, I was an incel at one point, and I'll explain that, but we'll exchange.
A little bit awkward. My girlfriend just walked up the ladder. Topic. That's great. Good timing. 10 out of 10.
We can hit the alpha beta.
Okay, yeah. So let's start with that. So for all of you who don't know at home, alpha beta philosophy. I guess I would put that in quotation marks. Is it really a philosophy and ideology, or a scam / conspiracy theory?
It's a scam.
It's a scam. It's based on this one guy's research about wolves that were taken out of their wild context, like, and brought into a confinement, like in a zoo. And he was studying how these wolves who had no relationship to each other established hierarchy. And so that became what is eventually extrapolated into what became what the alpha male thought experiment was. Yeah. That like one of the wolves eventually becomes the alpha male, and there's other subservient male wolves, right?
Yeah, that are under him.
And this got extrapolated up to like being like, well, that's just how humans be, because that's always how it gets extrapolated out. It's like, hey, Charles Darwin's like, hey, this is how evolution happens, and people are like, that's how humans be. And every time someone does that, the progenitor of that research is like, wait, no, that's not what that means. No. And so the right wing predominantly and male culture, I don't know if there's a way to even put that all together, but it's a thing, I guess. But that kind of group of people took the alpha male philosophy and just ran with it as the way you should live your life. You should live your life to try to be an alpha male, and have other people be subservient to you, and that's also how you attract women. Is by being the alphaist male. And meanwhile, the guy who did the original research is like, that's not how wolves work in the wild at all. It's not at all. There are no alpha males. It's just the male wolf and the female wolf. In fact, usually often the female wolf is in charge.
Yeah.
Not 100% of the time, but it happens. Not as uncommonly as you would think. 30% of the time.
All the wolves you see trailing behind them in the pack, guess what? They're their kids.
They're their kids.
It's a family structure. That's what you're looking at.
It's just a family. It's not how wolves work.
They're not lions. There's not harems.
No. It's pretty monogamous, actually, relatively. It's a good argument they could have used for the nuclear family as well if the right wing wanted to, but missed the wrong horse, I guess, for that rhetoric, which also doesn't, whatever.
But that kind of moves on to what I think is further into the red pill ideology and the incel ideology. And what, if anyone who doesn't know, I know everybody probably knows, incels are people that are involuntarily celibate. And what I feel that translates to, or the definition I know it as, is that people that, against their own will, cannot attract a mate. They're basically just 40-year-old virgins. But the way, obviously there's different classes of it. You can prescribe to some of the ideology.
But anime monster power levels? This is a class A incel?
Okay. What I would say is a class A incel. A class A incel would be a guy that's 5'6", 280 pounds. Beard doesn't connect. His personality is that of wet cheese. And he wants women. He wants a woman that's 5 feet to 5'2", can't be tall, can't be over 120 pounds, can't have small boobs, can't have, must have a thigh gap, but he's 5'6" and looks like Frodo. And he was like, you must cook, you must clean. That's a class A incel. And yes, those people do exist.
Oh, they do. It's a thing. I've met them.
Neck
and
beards.
It's like, bro.
Neck beards. Those people do exist, and they have those expectations of women. And they expect women, for some odd reason, to be a whore for them. But if prior to meeting them, they've ever had any type of sexual relation, then they're just an unclean whore. Which, in my opinion,
very silly.
For me, that's probably just like them just being insecure and just being like, she's had better than me.
Yeah, that's what that is.
It's literally what that is.
Yeah. It's and I also want to point out, this is on the last podcast I did with you. We talked a little bit about alt-right pipeline.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend that alpha male and red pill are not an integral part of the pipeline, and incels are a member of that pipeline. Not necessarily like being an incel is a requirement of being in the pipeline, but it often happens that typically when you ascribe to these philosophies, you may at first generate some amount of success because you're basically having a community of people being like, yeah, go get them, tiger. And that alone might give you confidence just to talk to women at all.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, engaging with people is a great way to interact with them on any level. And so that alone isn't the worst part. Like, talk to 100 women every day. Just say hi.
It's like, even if one shoots you down, keep moving. It's like, there's nothing to worry about. She didn't want you. Who cares? Move on to the next one. Don't get me wrong. That's kind of toxic because you're just like popping up like, hey, woman.
Yeah, it is toxic, but it's also not like in the scale of worst advice to best advice of how to interact with women. Yeah. It's in the range of neutral bad.
It's better than just being a silent guy that just goes, oh no, she only dates nice guys, but I never talk to her.
It's better than that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's called being a simp.
That's called being a simp, and simp can also be incels.
Yeah.
In fact, I feel like it's less of a Venn diagram and more of a circle.
Okay. I feel like it's those two overlapping circles.
Right.
Because it's like simp, incel, and then it's just like red pill is what the red pill shares. Because one thing I'll say about simping is that like most people would define simping if you see somebody bring up simping on Twitter, is usually if you're just in a comment section like, bro, why are y'all bashing this chick for posting this photo? She's just posting a photo, and they're just like, shut up, you simp. You excusing this whore, and you're just like, bro, whoa. But that's literally what it is. It's just like maybe you guys shouldn't, bash women like this. Not every woman's like this. All right, whatever, white knight. You're just saying this because you want to get laid. It's just like,
no.
By who? Who is
by who? The internet?
What?
Just ladies. There are simps who are. Everyone's seen the post of like, I gave you $18,000 total, and you had a husband the whole time.
I'm betrayed.
I want all of my money back. And people be like, yo.
I supported you for 2 years, and I thought I had a chance, but you had a husband the whole time.
Like,
bro, what was that streamer's name?
I don't know. Was that Pokimane? It's probably Pokimane. It's always Pokimane, I feel. I don't know who the fuck Pokimane is, but she keeps coming up in like relevant discussions of everything involving it's I guess simping type things.
The simping and behavior.
Like, controversy type things.
Yeah.
With being a streamer who doesn't. Does she play video games? I don't know.
She's some type of streamer, man.
I don't know. I don't care. I'm just throwing out that name because I feel like that's probably it. Just because it always ends up being Pokimane for some reason.
But that's just the funny thing about it, though, is there's a whole like you said about the red pill line. One thing I've noticed is that people almost always somehow work their way up, no matter the dude. You know where the Illuminati, because you know how sometimes they'll say rappers sacrificed their soul or killed somebody to become famous. Guess where that leads? From the black community, guess where that leads?
Pipeline.
Jews.
I'm sure, right? Jews, of course. Well, if you say the Illuminati, you you may not know you mean the Jews, but that's where that goes.
No, that's literally where they go. They're like, they literally hit the Jews that are in power of the music industry, and they're the ones that control everything. And I'm just like,
which isn't.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong, but it's not true.
It's not wrong, but the way they're introducing it is like it's blaming them for something.
Right.
It's like they're the cause of all of this terrible.
And not only that, there are like, if you were to do a raw population numbers of the amount of people who are Jewish who are in those kinds of industries, it's higher than their population, but it's not like 100% of them are Jews either. It's like still actually a minority of them are Jewish. Yeah. It's just not reflective of the population. So more Jews are in those fields than there are Jews, but it's still like 15% of the people doing these things are the Jews. Quote, the Jews are people who happen to be Jewish.
The Jews.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. They throw the whole United Front thing in there like everyone Jewish knows each other.
No.
I'm like, so y'all want me to believe Ben Shapiro has stakes in the music industry?
No. Nobody likes Ben.
Is Ben Shapiro secretly trying to influence Cardi B's rap sales right now by constantly trying to talk about her song and digging the hole deeper for himself?
That's so embarrassing.
Is that like a super loop just because Ben's Jewish?
Yes, apparently. Like,
it's the Jews, man. It's the Jews. That's what they say. It's the Jews.
That's what the Illuminati means. It's the Jews.
No, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's almost like a lot of pipelines, at least when they lead into, like, the right wing, like, the far right. Like, when you get far left, it becomes, like, misused identity politics and high-key lack of accountability, in my opinion. That's kind of...
Yeah. A lot of the far, well, what you would say the far left, like the identity politics people, the far left doesn't like them either. Like, I'm more closer to what you would consider, quote, far left. I identify more so as a far left. If we're talking far left, we're talking like actual communists, right? That's the actual far left. What you're dealing with is neoliberals who are fucking obnoxious, but they're actually closer to Republicans than anything else. Like, really,
that's currently what
because
we got
they're
with
just
Democrats.
like, fuck policy. Policy doesn't matter. It's just who is there that matters. Mm-hmm. Which is a ridiculous position on its face. Like, what? How do you think that's going to help if you don't have any real structural criticism? Yeah. Right? It's Karen feminism. It's not. We have a real discussion of things that we need to change about hegemony and about how policy interacts with society and creates certain situations.
Yep.
It's more that, like, get a woman in the White House. Like,
Joe Biden. There. How can Joe Biden go, I will elect a woman of color as my vice president before he even picks a candidate? Did you just automatically ask anyone that wasn't a woman of color? Are you only looking at a pool of women of color, Joe?
Yes, because he knows his audience is neoliberals, but they're not the far left. The right wing has given you the idea that those are the far left to specifically truncate the range of discussion, right? Okay. So it looks like the idiots, the neoliberals are the far left, which means they're like here, and the far right is right here, right? Mm-hmm. And if you look at it, now that range is much shallower between where you could end up, where you're allowed to end up. You don't want to be like these far leftists. You want to be somewhere in the middle, right? Okay. But they're artificially truncating the spectrum, which in reality, if the far right is like right here, the neoliberals are like right here in the middle. The communists are like over here. And so there's a much broader spectrum of thought between fascism and communism than fascism and neoliberalism, which are much closer. You know what I mean? So they're not the far left. That's something I need to break. I like trying to break people out of, is that no, they are also the problem. You're being lied to because the right wing has for the longest time had control of social media. In terms of framing the argument, they always have. They're white men.
Oh, that's what you meant.
En masse with a high degree of like knowledge about and intentional strategy.
What's up with them saying that social media is like, why is social media like the enemy of it now?
No, that's what they've always done. That's like literally how fascists have always taken power. Like, they've arbitrarily chosen an enemy, which they themselves know that they can control, and then punch it, the elements of it, while also bolstering from it. Like, it's like, oh, the media doesn't report on this story from Fox News. Like,
So how would you describe what they say happens on Twitter and Twitter censoring right-wing outlets or YouTube?
oh, I mean, Twitter is ran by idiots. And it's true, they censor right-wing content, but they also censor left-wing content. It's really not unique.
That's true.
Also, with the whole blue check thing that happened a while ago, they're like, Twitter is accepting this person as legitimate because of his blue checks. Like, no, they just needs to know that that's actually the person saying that. Like, no one likes Richard Spencer at all. Richard Spencer needs a blue check, so I know when it's Richard Spencer talking and not some random asshole pretending to be Richard Spencer. That's all the blue check means. And yeah, I don't agree with Twitter, but Twitter needs to be taken in as a public entity, and so does Facebook, and a lot of these other institutions need to be public utilities, and then we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah.
Because then you'd be dealing with the law and not some random arbitrary terms and conditions that can change, and you've already agreed to them, and they can change since you've agreed to them.
That is true.
Because the terms and conditions allow it to be changed, and you agree to them. It's fucking like, what? Why? How? And they might give you an update, but like the update's in legalese too, and nobody reads that. I just wanted to get my sick memes. I don't read it. Why the fuck would I read it?
See, when there's stuff like that, though, I think that's why people gravitate more towards the message boards like Reddit or 4chan and stuff like that. And that's how we get the ideologies that move. Because I don't think, like, obviously, I think when they're moving around on the main social media sites, when they're trying to throw people down the pipeline, it's more subtle.
Yes. Well, that's a strategy. They gather on places like 4chan in particular, not even so much Reddit. Okay. Because Reddit's really easy to see who you are. Like, the anonymity of Reddit is, although conditional, it's at least easier to observe you, like, within your own self.
Yeah.
Like, Reddit's a little bit less toxic. It is toxic still, but it's not nearly as bad as, say, 4chan, which is just the dungeon of the internet. And so they gather on 4chan to like discuss the strategies of things. They gather information, and then they send people out, and they build out bots to do specific tasks, right? Mm-hmm. So Twitter isn't where they live. Twitter is where they work. Facebook isn't where they live. Facebook is where they work, right?
Okay.
4chan is where they disseminate that information that they've been getting and then go back out, right? 4chan is their hub primarily, as far as I understand, and other types of like more niche message boards that like are like, or instant messages even between like individuals, but like there's no single superpower entity within the alt-right community as far as I'm aware. There's like figureheads, and then there's like theoretical icons. Like there's people that they've ascribed to. They're like, yep, this is one of us, even if somewhat arbitrarily, like PewDiePie. Like PewDiePie's not a Nazi, but PewDiePie does not do a good enough job challenging Nazis on his profile or on his channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll say like at least the other branch of the red pill ideology, I feel like the reason people will get thrown into that when they're not necessarily someone that fits the definition of an incel. Like I explained, you had the class 1 incel, which is somebody that's usually a like massive weeaboo. They have like I want an Asian girl with front like pushing jagged teeth, like the kawaii smile. It's really stereotypical, bro, and you'd be surprised how often I've seen it. It's really, I don't know.
I've never heard that before. That's really funny.
Really racist too. Specifically. Really racist too, because they're just like, I want an Asian girl with messed up teeth. It's like, well, where are you getting this from? What? Have you ever seen a person like this in real life?
I mean, I have.
Obviously, some people have, but the people I've met have not.
I also was the marketing chair of the Asian American Association for a reason. So, like, at University of Memphis. So, like, that's not like a brag. This is like conditional, and like, yeah, no, I've seen that before. Like, but it's very weird that that's like a thing.
I'd say the other class for incels is probably people that have like they have a more personal grudge against probably a woman in their life, and that's why they apply it to all women. Cause when I like I said earlier, when I said I was an incel, that's mainly because like I had like developmental issues with my mom growing up. So obviously growing up, I build a resentment towards my mother, and that obviously sets a precedent. If I didn't grow over it, it set a precedent for my relationships with all other women. Because I'm just like, bro, if my mom lies to me, I already know you're gonna lie to me. So that happens to a lot of dudes. It's the same thing. It's the same logic of like when some women might say men ain't shit or all women are whores. It's probably because like someone did something to you and you feel some type of way about it, and it's easier for you to like project it onto everybody instead of just considering like it's your situation.
And it's not that different from why many women often have unhealthy perspectives of relationships as well, and they seek out people with unhealthy habits because their father often had unhealthy habits. And that's not like a unique experience. People are people, and people are messy, you know? And typically, oftentimes when two people have children, it's not because they're prepared for it. And even if they are, people are not perfect, you know what I mean? So that's not like, I don't super like the parent-based argument for people's shitty preferences, because I feel like it's used as a crutch, or like as a cudgel against women as well, and men to some extent as well.
That's why I said
but like, it is also not untrue that like that's where you learned a lot of your understanding of a relationship, of like, a romantic relationship.
If you're having problems if you're having problems as a young kid with girls, you're either going to go to like your mom or your sister or a woman that you trust.
Yeah.
If the woman that you trust or that you thought you could trust is not showing you a positive relationship, you usually, more often than not, you're going to take your environment for what it is. Because it's like for me, it was high-key a survival mechanism, because I was just like, no, emotional pain from women bad.
Yeah.
So avoiding it doesn't make it better, and then classifying everybody as that doesn't make it better, because all it does is like ruin opportunities for you.
And that's why I don't like to use it too much as a crutch, because it's really up to the person to learn from it and like understand that those were not good things, and understand that their brain might be conditioned as a meat tray of electrons to respond to that. But that's not what they need to be responding to. Like, you have to actually teach yourself to not want that toxic type of patterning. Yeah. And, you know, that's universal for men and women. Like, it's not any different. Like, you know, you have to deprogram yourself from bad things that people did. And I also have to be accepting, like, I have times where, like, in my relationship with my current girlfriend, that I'll, like, do something. I'm like, oh my God, I am my dad. You know, but I see that and I'll go, haha, lol. And I'm like, okay, how do I fix that? Because that's the thing about my dad that I didn't like. And I understand. It's like, oh, now I get why he did that, but it wasn't appropriate. Like, you know.
I've definitely learned that myself as well.
Right. And it's up to us to be the next generation of people from their parents, like us in a very not specific sense at all. It's up to us to like really take a good look at ourselves. And I honestly, and you said that you were an incel at one point. I would put myself as a demi-incel, that like, for one thing, I'm like in the range of asexual. I'm gray sexual. And so I wasn't as interested in sexual relationships as a lot of the people around me. And so because of that, I was much more like able to see the meta interactions of people in relationships, and I didn't feel comfortable with myself interacting with women for a long time. And not in the sense that like, oh, because women are whores. Or not even necessarily I'm not good enough for women. It's just that like, I was a kid. I understood that I had things that I still needed to work on, and it wasn't fair to bring someone else into that, at least in a long-term way, you know?
You were smarter than me.
And hopefully.
I just got my feelings hurt and then processed it as, they're all terrible.
It's just not true. And like, yeah, like, it's not like I haven't thought that before, but like, what woman also hasn't thought like, all men are terrible, you know? which is probably a more accurate statement. Let's be real. Oh my god,
Yeah.
have you ever been on female side of Tinder looking at men? What a fucking dumpster fire. Oh my god. Point being, though, it's clearly not all women are bad. It's like, you probably could have done a better job as the dude saying, like, this ain't it, Cap.
Yeah.
Like, you have way too much unexamined toxicity for me to deal with. This ain't worth it. It's fine. I don't need to be in a relationship. I don't need to justify that.
Yeah.
Like, A. And then B, a lot of times are also, like, the dude's own fault, or reverse that, the woman's own fault. The owner, the person of the relationship, of the ego that we'd be discussing, rather, has a lot of things that they need to deal with, and they're pushing it on to someone else, and they're responding badly to it because they probably don't know how to deal with it either. You know,
Yeah.
we're imperfect people. We can't perfectly understand what we're doing at all times. It's just really important to, like, I really felt that the reason why my relationship currently is fairly functional, very functional compared to a lot of other relationships I get to hear about secondhandedly. It's kind of hilarious. It's just that, like, because we both spent so much time single and, like, working on ourselves, that we both have the ability to have learned from our parents more objectively and, like, really paying attention, that we can have objective conversations and really work on detoxifying elements that we find in each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's so that's kind of like the key, I feel, to there's, like, that's why there's productive inselling and destructive inselling.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, I don't know if you remember, like, the old school MGTOW, which, like, was the jumping off point between them and a lot of incels. It's like started the incelness, where, like, it was just like men in their 40s and 50s who are like, yep, I'm done. I'm done. I've been divorced. It's cool. I'm out of here. You know?
Women are all
like,
whores.
it wasn't even that group. It's like, it's not that women are all whores. I'm just done dating. I'm too old. I have things I want to work on. I spent my entire life, you know,
chasing
with my wife and, like, raising children, and the children are gone. The wife is gone. I have nothing except for myself. Might as well just work on that. It's cool. You know? That was old school MGTOWs. I had a legitimate argument of, like, no, it's fine. I ain't mad. It's good. I get what happened. I'm going my own way. That's literally what MGTOW stood for, is men going their own way. But that movement got co-opted by what became the right wing. It's not like they weren't necessarily. MGTOW didn't have a political ideology. It wasn't right wing or left wing. Like, the argument is just, it's been there, it's done.
Going the right way.
I'm moving on, right? There's no politics with that, really. But it got co-opted by the right wing, and the right wing made the effective incel culture out of it. In my opinion, I haven't researched that thoroughly enough, but I was there around that time when I was having similar thoughts of, like, you know, I don't really think I'm ready for this. Like, the whole dating thing.
Yeah.
I don't really think I want to do this because I want to work on myself, and I don't feel comfortable dating other people yet because I don't feel mature about it, you know? But I was noticing that, and I was also, like, noticing the incel thing coming up at the same time. So that was my experience of that. I don't know if that's true, that the right wing co-opted MGTOW ideology and politicized it.
That's an
very
interesting
possible
question, though.
I don't even know how you would look that up. That'd be a very weird research to do. I don't know how you would complete that, you know?
Yeah.
Accomplish that. But yeah, so that's my experience with, and I also got some shitty dating advice from red pill type people. Like, told me to look these things up, but it was just shitty dating advice, and I horribly regret everything I did while I was on that brainwave. It was not good. Don't take red pill advice, kids, if you're trying to figure out how to date. My solution is either don't blame women for being bad. Women are just people. People sometimes suck. It's not their fault. They're probably too stressed and anxious to literally, or incapable of, like, looking inward and fixing themselves, like, as humanity. It's not women or men that's the problem. It's
not
humans
specific
suck.
to you. Humans just suck.
Humans just kind of suck, and you have to wait, honestly, until you're ready.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like, that's my post-incel, quote, incel advice. Post-red pill, post-incel dating advice. Is that you can just be fine. And then when you have a relationship, it'll be more valuable because it won't be as fueled by toxicity.
Yeah. Well, I'll say we can go ahead and sign off soon.
Okay.
Because this has been it's been about an hour and 5 people.
Cool.
Like I
Cool,
said to everyone that's gonna be watching this, not really sure what we're gonna name this segment. Could be the psych talk. You will find out once I upload it, won't you? But there'll be more. This is where the videos will be. They'll also be uploaded on audio as well, but this will just be for people that want to watch it on video. And thank you for tuning in to the first episode, or whatever I'm gonna name this show.